Rev up your engines!
Well, I can't help but laugh my rear end about all these companies talking about, they're losing money making electric cars, but 2025, they're going to start making a profit at it, right? They use the thing they call cost parity, right? And they're trying to say, well, we're losing money now, but we're going to make money in the future. You know what I say? You ever hear the expression, the best laid plans of mice and men often go awry? Well, here they are. We're going to make money in 2025, says Mary, selling electric vehicles, right? Not if people don't buy them in mass. You can't force people to buy them. I ask my customers, would you buy an electric car? Every single one of them said, no way. Not the way they stand today. Right? They can make these stupid things. Doesn't mean anybody's going to buy them. And all their cost parity analysis is going to go out the window if people don't buy the stupid things. I rented an electric BMW a couple weeks ago. What a pile of crap. I'd never get an electric car again. Not the way they stand. They don't go far enough. They're a pain in the butt to plug in. And I'm a mechanic. I just got a brand new $6,000 machine for fixing electric cars. And it's like, I'd never buy one of those things. It's just like, I'll fix somebody's Mercedes-Benz. Sure, I've been doing it for decades, right? But I sure as heck wouldn't buy one of those rolling piles of crap. And it's the same thing. Oh, Mary can talk all she wants about cost parity analysis. If they build these things and nobody buys them, and they're saying, we have a hard time making a profit selling an electric car for $40,000 or $30,000. Yeah, and they're not selling at that price anyways. They jack them up for a lot higher to begin with, right? Of course, even further, let's use our thinking caps now. They're making these new Chevy electric SUVs. Where are they building them? Mexico! And when you keep costs down, guess what? You go to Mexico, the costs are down. So is the quality, right? They don't talk about that, right? GM makes a lot of stuff in China, right? Maybe they'll start making them all in China and sending them over here. And then pull some kind of BS. Well, they were sold in the United States, so we can call them American vehicles and get a tax credit. They'll always find some loophole in the law, right? But if people don't buy the vehicles, they can talk all they want about making a profit. They won't make any. I love this one. 2/3 of Canadians said they're not going to buy an electric vehicle. Now, I've done polling of my own customers, and 100% of them said they're not going to buy an electric vehicle, right? Well, the Canadians, they did a poll, and 2/3 of them said no. Or they say, no, eh? Canadians will not commit to buying electric cars. Now, I don't blame them for a lot of reasons. I've talked about many reasons for the stupidity of electric cars. No infrastructure, no power creation to send it through the infrastructure, the time it takes to charge them. But they're in Canada. Guess what? It's colder up there. I had a Canadian friend I went to school with in Toronto. He says, Scotty, you know why there's more people in the United States? He said, because it's too cold in Canada. People don't want to live here, right? Batteries in cold weather don't work out. They drain faster. They don't charge fully. All kinds of problems. And this is the big one that a lot of people don't understand because they don't understand how electric cars are made. Most electric cars have their battery on the bottom. It is not a completely sealed unit. It has various computer controllers, transformers, all kinds of electronics that are more or less open to the elements. They got little seals and snaps and stuff. What do they do in Canada? It snows. They put salt on the road to keep you from sliding on the ice, right? That, of course, eats up cars. Well, if your battery's on the bottom of the car, all this electronics is covered with salt, and away it goes. They will not last very long. They've already had that problem with a RAV4 plug-in prime, where you can actually plug in and drive the RAV4 of so many miles on electricity. Their wiring kept shorting out, and then Toyota was saying, we're not fixing it under warranty. That doesn't count as powertrain, blah, blah, blah. I believe in Quebec, the government sued them and is forcing Toyota to fix them all for free. That's a hybrid. If you have a full electric car, it's even worse because the batteries are bigger. They have more power, right? And you have salt water in the winter. It will destroy them. I've seen it happen here on the East Coast, and it will be a cluster mess. If all the Canadians start buying electric cars and they started rusting out through the electronic systems, and then So the Canadians are proving to be more intelligent than the Americans. Some of the Americans are saying, yeah, we're going to buy electric cars. Canadians are like, whoa, hold your horses there. No, we don't want to buy electric cars. There's too many problems with them as they stand today. All right, this hasn't been mass sold out yet. I can't wait old Mary Barr and GM saying, we're going to make a profit in 2025 selling electric vehicles. Yeah, old Mary. Not if people don't buy them. And the Canadians are saying, no, we really don't want to buy these things. Conservative says, I have a Ford Freestar. Suddenly it leaks massive oil. What could it be? It's an '07 Ford Freestar with 190,000 miles. I had a water pump, head gasket replaced now. It's losing oil massively. They said it's near the serpentine belt. What could it be? Take it all apart. You're going to have to change the crankshaft seal and the cam seals. The camshaft spin, they have to have a seal. They're on the top. The crankshaft seal's on the bottom. It spins. The seal goes bad, oil comes flying out. You're going to have to take apart the front of the engine and replace it. Ask the guy who did the head gasket. Maybe he replaced the camshaft seals. He should have. If he pulled the heads off, he should have put new seals on them too, right? If he didn't, he's a mechanic. Doesn't know what he's doing. If he did, then it would just be the crankshaft seal. And you can, a lot of times, you should take the bottom of the engine part off and replace that without having taken everything apart. So ask the guy who did the head gasket, did he replace the camshaft seals? Or if he did, and he did a crappy job, then the oil would be leaking from the top down. You could take the cover off and look inside. And if you see that it's all oily inside the top too, that would mean that the camshaft seals are leaking too. You might be able to get away with just the crank seal if you change the ones on the top when you did the head gasket. You got to ask him. Like how Saban says, I want to thank Scotty for all his work since you made me buy a Toyota. I got an 03 RAV4, 250,000 miles for 3 years, and I've had zero problems. I can't believe it. We also own a diesel Peugeot, and it's been a horrendous pile of junk. Ha, ha, ha. Hey, I'm here to help, you know? And yeah, French cars. Now, they don't sell them here in the United States, so I have no personal experience now. I did back in the 70s, and they were kind of crappy cars back then. That's one of the reasons they pulled out of the United States. Crappy cars. Break all the time. You couldn't get parts very readily in the United States, and hardly anybody wanted to work on a diesel Peugeot. So add all those together, they pulled out of the United States. You got a Toyota now, and you're stuck with your Peugeot. Well, the next time something major goes on a Peugeot, just get rid of the thing and get another Toyota. If you find there's a car that's not sold in the United States, okay, you know it's got problems, because this is a big market. And if they don't sell it here, it's generally because it's crap and Americans won't stand for it. I mean, look, Fiat left the United States a long time ago. Then they came back. Then, after a couple of years, I think they sold like 55,000 Fiat 500s, okay? Last year, they sold like 500. They are still 300-something Fiat dealers in the United States. They sold 500, right? Not even 2 cars per dealership. You know they're going to go out of business pretty soon, right? And that shows. Everybody else, Fiat's crap. They go out of business in the United States again. Oh, it's the second time they'll have left. What a shocker. Job 31 says I have a soft brake pedal. Got 2015 Chevy Impala. I changed the rotors and pads because they were grinding, and I flushed the old brake fluid and bled. Now I have soft brake pedal, but my brakes seem to stop okay. One thing that could have happened, you changed the brake pads, right? Now, how did you squeeze the calipers in? If you just got a big pair of pliers or a clamp and you squeezed the calipers back in and then put the pads on, right? That could send back pressure up to the master cylinder and damage it. The correct way to do it is to open the bleeder valves at the caliper, and when you squeeze it, have a little bucket underneath to catch the drippings. Then the pressure, instead of feeding back into the master cylinder, possibly damaging it, will just drip out of the hole. Odds are, if you didn't do that, you probably damaged the master cylinder. You said it stops okay, but they're down further. And the reason they're down further, it was damaged from the back pressure going in. If it did not go far before you did that work, that's the only logical thing. That the back pressure damaged the master cylinder. If you got an older car, and that thing's what, 9 years old, open the bleeder valves on the caliper before you squeeze them in so the pressure doesn't go back into the master cylinder and damage it. Dirt Trot Boogie says, the check engine light of my 1988 Toyota 4x4 comes on when the throttle's on, and the truck idles great and runs. When I'm sitting there, it doesn't come on. I don't know what's wrong. Okay, well, it is an 88. See, here's the problem. 95 and newer is OBD2. You have OBD1. OBD2, it doesn't matter if the light comes on, goes off. It'll be in the memory, and when I stick a scan tool, it'll show me what the code is, right? But you got the old stinker. And the old stinker, when you shut the car off or when the light goes off, it doesn't retain it in memory. So the only thing you could do is when that light's on, try to take it to a mechanic like me that has an old scan tool that'll work on one of those, like an old snap-on brick. And if that light's on, we'll be able to access the information. Now, I mean, it runs okay, otherwise what the heck? It's an 88, well, you're not going to get perfection out of a 1988, and if it runs okay, who the heck cares? Most places, doesn't matter when you get your car inspected, because after they're 25 years old, then don't have emissions inspection anymore. So it doesn't matter if the check engine light comes on. But if you really want to know, find an older mechanic like me, got like an old snap-on brick, plug it in. When that light's on, it'll tell them what the code is. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.